encounter will mostly be about managing tensions. It's not going to be about making any breakthroughs. India did not endorse the joint statement because the statement omitted the Pahalgam terror attack. At best, the two leaders may agree on confidence building measures. Right after the SCO Summit, China is hosting the Victory Day Parade, which is a celebration of its victory in the World War II. But India is not going to attend that. Both with Beijing and with Moscow, it's important to have conversations on energy channels and on regional stability. On one hand, it brings India, Russia, and China on an equal, on a same plane. But on the other hand, there is also the strategic reality, right, with China, that the ties have remained adversarial since 2020. And so any substantive trilateralism will be limited.
Hello and welcome to TheFederal. As we approach the 25th SCO Summit in China on August 31st and September 1, and we have Prime Minister Narendra Modi attending the SCO's summit in his, will be his first visit to China in over 7 years. Today, we are diving into the summit's significance for India, particularly in navigating its complex relationships with Japan, Russia, and the United States. We have with us Vanshika Saraf, a research analyst, Indo-Pacific Studies program at the Takshila Institution, to discuss more on India's evolving role in global geopolitics. Thank you, Vanshika, for joining us. So, as the summit is, set to start soon, how do you see that this is believed to be a significant landmark in the Indo-China relationships? So there are bilateral meetings that are expected with the Chinese president, with the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What can be expected in the bilateral meetings and in the summit overall?
So look, the SCO Summit is being watched very closely all across the world because both India and China have such geopolitical heft today that what happens in this relationship matters to the rest of the world.
Right.
Coming to what can be expected, such an interaction, in my opinion, it's not going to be very dramatic. It's not going to be a dramatic reset, but it will be a careful management of the differences that we've had. Because look, the central issue between India and China remains the border. And since Galwan relations haven't really particularly been well. So, after this summit and the bilateral meeting, I think at best the two leaders may agree on confidence building measures. So, there might be improving communication channels, face pullbacks, but a comprehensive settlement looks unlikely. We
Okay.
might also see progress, especially on the people to people engagement. In the last few months, we've already seen progress, easing of visas. We saw a resumption of the Kailash Mansarovar pilgrimage route after a very long time. So we're already seeing some positive trend lines. But having said that, so this encounter will mostly be about managing tensions. It's not going to be about making any breakthroughs. Because look, India has always been clear that the normalization will not happen unless there is full disengagement at the border. Also,
Right.
at the SCO summit, we've been leading up to the summit last few months at the defense ministers meeting in July. We saw that India did not endorse the joint statement because the statement omitted the Pahalgam terror attack. On one hand, we do have our differences with the SCO, but on the other hand, this summit is extremely important because it is symbolic and it is also a reassurance that dialogue will continue.
We also saw that Modi visited Japan, and this immediately preceded the SCO summit. So, what does this sequence of engagements reveal about India's multi-alignment strategy in the Indo-Pacific, particularly in balancing security operation with Japan against economic and geopolitical discussions with China and Russia at the SCO?
Right. So look, this is very important, right? Because this tells that Japan has been one of India's most trusted partners, not only across the world, but especially in the Indo-Pacific. We have, in the last few years, we've seen deeper defense interoperability. There's been greater technology cooperation when it comes to semiconductors, AI, whether it comes to the Quad. We've also seen a wave of Japanese investments in the region. So it is an unmistakable message message to both allies and competitors that look, India's core alignment is with like minded partners like Japan. And therefore, this timing is extremely important. The SCO summit right after that, that again is important because the SCO is useful for having conversations both with Beijing and with Moscow. It's important to have conversations on energy channels and on regional stability in Afghanistan, in Pakistan. So I think in both the arenas, the goals are very different, right? In with Japan, the goal is strengthening the partnership. It's doubling down on our commitments on making progress, whether it's on bullet trains or whether it's on technology cooperation. With the
Yeah.
SCO, the goals are different. We are seeking stability, we are seeking a prevention of escalation and a management of tensions. And another important thing to note is right after the SCO summit, China is hosting the Victory Day Parade, which is a celebration of its victory in the World War II. But India is not going to attend that.
Okay.
And was solidarity with Japan. So I think in that way, the sequence is extremely important that we're going for the summit and we're coming back without attending the Victory Day Parade.
Right, right. We also see that it's quite significant when we look at the potential revival of the Russia, India, and China troika at the SCO summit for India's foreign policy, especially in the context of the ongoing U.S. Pressures with the tariffs and India's efforts to assert that there is a strategic autonomy in a multipolar world. So, how do you see the significance of this?
Right. Look, the RIC, it's a lot of it's a lot of performative geopolitical signaling as well. But for India, the RIC has been tricky because on one hand, it brings India, Russia, and China on an equal, on a same plane. But on the
Right.
other hand, there is also the strategic reality, right, with China that the ties have remained adversarial since 2020, and so any substantive trilateralism will be limited. But having
Right.
said that, RIC and its revival has significance given the timing of what's happening right now in the shadow of US tariffs. So Washington is turning inward with being more transactional. It's mounting pressures because we import oil from Russia. So in that sense, I think it is in New Delhi. New Delhi has an interest in reminding the world that look, we're not beholden to any one camp. And so engaging in RIC is not as much about deep convergence as more about, as you mentioned, about strategic autonomy. That we are going to
Right.
sit at multiple tables, whether that makes the US uncomfortable. We're going to do it. And I
Right.
think if and there's also it's also useful because one, it tells Washington that India is not going to be boxed in. It tells Moscow that it's not going to be abandoned, and it tells Beijing that look, we can engage without illusions. So in that
Right.
sense, I think it's important.
Right. I mean, I'm like you rightly mentioned now, given that the recent U.S. tariffs imposed by President Trump include, the penalty on India for its Russian oil imports. Now, considering Russia's continued role as a key partner for India in defense and energy amid global tensions, how does the SCO summit provide a platform for strengthening India-Russia ties? And what risk does it pose to India's relationship with the US in the face of these tariffs and sanctions?
Yes, I think the timing of the SCO summit has come, at a very critical moment. It happens to be coincidental, obviously, with the Trump tariffs hitting us 2 days ago, but that makes it very important. And I think the one biggest, takeaway is that look, these tariffs are an attempt to test Delhi's resolve. But
Right.
we are also saying that, look, Russia is an indispensable partner to us. And it is indispensable in our strategic equation, whether it comes to being a reliable energy partner or a defense supplier. So, in
Yeah.
that sense, it's important to be a part of the SCO because if you remember last year, Modi did not attend the SCO summit. Before that, it was held virtually. So, clearly, Modi going and physically attending the summit is an important signal. Now, when it comes to Russia, look, the stakes are twofold, right? On energy, Russia has helped cushion India's inflation. and it's also strengthened its refining sector. On defense, even though we've been trying to diversify since a very long time, Russian platforms still dominate the arsenal. So
Yeah,
what the
they do.
SCO does is that it allows Modi and Putin to signal continuity on these fronts. Of course, there is also the broader conversation of regional cooperation, which is important, but it allows to talk to advance these bilateral relationships. And coming to your second half of the question, which is how the US will respond. So that is something I think all analysts across are, speculating on. Of course, Washington's reaction, given how unpredictable it's become, is very difficult. But
True.
there might be a harder US sanctions regime. So this will complicate not only the money that's flowing in, it's going to jeopardize technology flows, it's also going to slow India's access to advanced defense tech and defense co-production, on which I think India and the US made a lot of progress on the last few years. So it's actually
Right.
unfortunate if we lose access to that. So yes, in that sense, I think New Delhi's bet is that, look, we are important in the Indo-Pacific, and that importance is going to prevent Washington from pushing us too far. So
Right.
right now it does provide some sort of signaling that we have a space, and therefore US pressure has its limits, but it's a very
Right.
fine line.
What other bilateral meetings with, let's say, Russia or China um, are also expected, and what can India look forward to at the SEO summit?
So Right. So again, like I mentioned, when you have any of these big summits happening, it's very natural to have a bilateral meeting, because not all issues can be resolved at the summit table with a lot of partner countries involved. Having said that, at the SCO, India has not been very pleased with the way terrorism has been handled. Because if you see, SCO's main mandate has been to curb and tackle terrorism. Given the Pahalgam attack and given the security threat that India still faces, I think these bilateral meetings, whether with Russia, whether with
Very.
China, are important, because it helps us to talk beyond these friction points that lie. With
Right.
China, there can be talks, as I mentioned, on increasing and strengthening our people to people ties, because there has been a trust deficit for a long time. And to rebuild that trust, it's going to happen gradually. It's going to be small moves, like resuming direct flights, which has been on the table for a long time. So, bilateral meetings allow you to disentangle yourself from larger security issues and focus
Right.
on the bilateral relationship. And the same goes with Russia as well. So
Right.
I'm hoping there are going to be a lot of outcomes from both the SCO summit and the bilateral meeting in Japan.